you.
Thank you.
Barbara Witt, followed by Andrea Deminsky, followed by Beverly Spear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and the committee. I come here solely as a citizen of Wisconsin. I'm new to politics. I would vote. I didn't know any processes, but I was participated in the recount of the Supreme Court election. And when I saw that you were having this committee meeting, I drove down from, I live up in Madeline Island.
Oh, wow.
I drove down, I slept by the side of the road last night to be here to testify for you today, because I think this is one of the most urgent issues that we have on our agenda, especially for Wisconsin, considering what is happening. I started out in Franklin, and I was observing the city of Milwaukee. And for the most part, I will say 99% of everything that I observed for 2 days, just the city of Milwaukee, the process was beautiful. 2 poll workers, 2 observers. They brought everything to the table: poll books, ballot bags, ballots, envelopes, information, all the numbers. The absentee ballots were sometimes somewhere else, but for the most part, all of us sat there and were able to come up with agreed upon counts. Then I went over to Waukesha, and I saw completely the opposite. The poll books were over there at one table. The ballots were over here at one table. The ballot bags were somewhere else. When they got through counting the ballots, they threw them in a box, and they went somewhere. Never did I ever get a chance to see any municipality fully, any ward fully. All of the numbers were put up to the front, and the clerks were the ones who were responsible for adding everything up. So I still don't know if those were accurate counts came out of Waukesha. But the thing that troubles me the most, and it's because part of this committee is about the electronic voting systems, I counted a touch screen tape from Pewaukee, wards 8 through 10, and prior to that, the table that I had been observing had counted, by mistake, had counted a test tape. So they asked Barbara Hansen to come over and make sure that this touch screen tape was really votes. And she came over and they unraveled it and they did what they do and they had those machines, and she determined that, yes, this really is the vote, so yes, go ahead and count. So we counted the votes, and at the end, I noticed that the date that on the bottom of the tape was March 30th, 1:40 a.m. And this was very troubling to me. And so I called, we were all sitting around, even including the other observer from the other camp, speculating how this could happen. Now, you know that if your computer goes dead and your battery kicks in, it goes back to January 1st. It doesn't start in the middle of somewhere. No one knew if they had batteries that ran down. Probably not. We called Barbara Hansen over to the second time to make sure that we were actually looking at votes. She looked at it and she said, you know what, these are votes, but I just for the life of me can't figure out how this got dated March 30th at 1:40 a.m. I escalated it to the judge. Another clerk came under oath. She was sworn in, and she gave sworn testimony that this tape was indeed votes that were cast April 5th, but that there must have been something wrong with the date. Now, in Waukesha, there was a lot of confusion about who was in charge and what the process was. We kind of just had to, you know, play it by ear, but I didn't feel comfortable with that. So I went home and I wrote a letter, and I came back the next day and I asked that this letter be put into the evidence. I wanted a request for a reasonable explanation for how this tape got dated March 30th at 1:40 in the morning. I was told there were no touch screen tapes in Pewaukee. And that was all that they were going to tell me. Now, this didn't sit right with me, but, you know, I'm just observing. I always said this is the audit, it isn't the prosecution, we're just observing. So I did a little research about what kind of machines are in Pewaukee,
Is this, by the way, village or city of Milwaukee? Or separate city?
Oh, I'd have to go back in my notes, I'm sorry, but I've got the pictures of the poll tapes, and it'll tell you the serial number of the machine and all. So,
who told you there were no touch screens in Milwaukee?
there was a representative from the Kloppenburg campaign, and I had to go through her to get to the judge. So I gave her my letter. She brought it to the judge. She came back to me to tell me there were no votes taken on touch screens in the wards 8 through 10.
Oh, they have a touch screen, but no votes were on the touch screen.
Except the day before, 3 times it was swore under oath that these were from this ward, from Milwaukee, and it was just the date that was wrong. So 3 times I heard that these were actual votes. The next day, when I asked how this happened, I'm told there's no touchscreen votes from Milwaukee. You're mistaken. Okay, so now I'm confused. So I wanted to know what kind of machines were in Milwaukee, and on the JAB or somewhere I found that there's an official list of all the machines and what all the machines are in all the counties and such. This is an Eagle touchscreen with a modem, and I did some research on that, and I found, much to my chagrin, that this was the very same type of machine that Congressman Bob Hagan of Ohio testified in 2004 that he observed flipping his vote from Kerry to Bush. The very same machine. Now, see, I don't know anything about this. Like you probably don't now either, but I'm going to urge you guys to get some research on this. So then I asked myself, how did we get these kind of machines here in Wisconsin? And I did some research, and I found out that in 2005, Kevin Kennedy of the GAB, despite the fact that his employees tested these machines and told him that they were faulty, that people gave him a body of evidence that these machines have been known to flip votes, legislators, election officials, the public protested. There was even a lawsuit filed against him not to do what he was about to do, and he ignored it all, and he went into contract with Accenture, who is the provider of these systems and these voting machines. Accenture, formerly known as Arthur Andersen, formerly known as the bookkeepers for Enron. Now, I'm in tears because my vote is in danger. My vote is in danger. Kevin Kennedy, knowing the danger that he would put my vote to, openly chose to go into a contract, even when all of this information was given to him, to bring in a company that had been reorganized from a fraudulent company, bringing in machines that are proven